and we're so happy that you're here with us. I'm Jodi Crandall, and Joan, Kang, Shin, and I are very happy to be with you and tonight to explore strategies that we can use to help prepare our young learners for their roles and their responsibilities as 21st century citizens. You know, we're very fortunate as English teachers because while we are helping our learners to learn English, we also have the opportunity to help them develop the skills and values, or what we're going to be calling as well social emotional skills, that they will need to be productive and responsible local and global citizens. I learned a new word last year called glocal, which I like very much, saying that basically what we need to do is help people to be both good local and global citizens. And so one word that says that both is glocal. To begin tonight, I'd like you to take a look at this photo. Some of you may already know the photo. It is the opening spread in level 3, a unit called Long Ago and Today. And what I'd like you to do is look closely at the photo and think about, what do you see here? What does the photo make you think of? And then I'd like you just to to type in the chat room your reactions to the photo. So what do you see? What does the photo make you think of? And go ahead, and I'll be really interested in what you have to offer. Resilience. Very nice from Ramalin. I hope that's pronounced right. Yep. Going to school. Hope. Parental support. Yes. Yes. Persistence. Interesting. Happiness. Yes. That's very nice. Determination. Okay. A father taking his kid to school. Yes, his son. Yes. Very nice. Please continue to continue to type, because I think one of the best things about webinars is we have a chance to really learn so much from each other. And I'll be looking, but I'm sure everybody else will be looking as well. I want to thank you for your responses. They were really very, very interesting and very, very perceptive. Here's some of what I saw in the photo. We have a young boy. He's holding a computer. And he's riding on a bicycle with his father. His father and he seem to have a really wonderful relationship. As some of you noticed, the happiness. Obviously, the little boy trusts his father and clearly respects his father. And so we have then a young boy with a computer, which is going to school. But of course, that computer will be so important, not just in education, but also in a future career. And we have a father who is responsible for that little boy and is helping him to grow to be a responsible citizen. There's also another thing that I noticed in the photo. The little boy is riding side saddle. Now, I don't know if that's a word you use, but notice that both of his legs are on one side of the bicycle wheel. Clearly, physically, he's able to balance that way. If he were younger, he wouldn't be able to do that. He would have to have a leg on either side of that wheel. And so it's interesting that this is a boy who is just at the point where physically he can do that. When we're thinking about appropriate activities for our children, whether they're very young learners, ages 3 to 5, or young learners, ages 6 to 11, we want to make sure that we look at their physical, their cognitive, and their social emotional characteristics, so that what we provide for them are appropriate activities. And let's take a look at what this means for very young learners. Here are some of the characteristics of pre-primary learners, the kind of learners that would be using with you. Welcome to our world. Physically, they're very active, and we know that they love to move around. They don't like to sit for a long time. They're developing gross motor skills. They like to run and climb and jump. And they're beginning to develop fine motor skills. They can use scissors and they can draw and color. Cognitively, their attention span is short. You know, every time I see that, I think, almost everybody I know has a short attention span, but it is true with very young learners, we have to be aware that activities cannot last a long time, and we have to be able to change from those which are very active to those which are actually more passive or more silent. They tend to see the world from their point of view. They love make-believe, and they don't always separate fantasy from reality. They're very curious. They have a vivid imagination. They enjoy playing dress up. They understand absolutes like good and bad or right and wrong, and they want to please adults. And I want to call your attention to this is a wonderful compendium of a whole lot of research that has been done with very young learners. And Joan and her colleagues just published a book with TESOL Press on the 6 principles for exemplary teaching of English learners, young learners in a multilingual world. And I really highly recommend that you take a look at the book because it has just this kind of wonderful information. So before we actually look at specific activities in Welcome to Our World, I want to spend a little time talking about social and emotional learning, or what has been called SEL. This may be a fairly new concept to some of you, although I'm sure you are actually helping your learners to develop exactly these kinds of skills. If you look at the graphic, when you think about social and emotional learning, there are sort of 5 competencies that we look at or that we think about. The first, which is the earliest and the one that still we continue to grow in the rest of our lives, is self-awareness, is recognizing our emotions, our values, what we do well, our strengths and our challenges. The second is self-management, which, as we know with very young learners, is something that they're just beginning to be able to do, to manage their emotions and behaviors so that they can achieve their goals. The third is social awareness, which is being able to understand others, recognize diversity, actually feel empathy or sympathy for others. Relationship skills, which are forming positive relationships, being able to work in teams. We know that being able to collaborate and communicate, those 2 skills are critically important skills, not only to be successful in school, but also increasingly in all of our careers and employment. They need to learn to deal effectively with conflict. And then the last one, which is one that we learn a little bit later, although they're beginning to get some ideas about this in the very early pre-primary years, is to be able to make responsible decisions, to make ethical, constructive choices about personal and social behavior. So when we look at Welcome to Our World, we're going to notice that in the beginning, there's an emphasis on self-awareness and self-management. Then they begin to get a little bit more aware of social awareness. And then there's a beginning of development of relationship skills, and then just a little bit on responsible decision-making. But we actually, when we get to our world, of course, learners are much older. They have more awareness of themselves, more ability to manage emotions. And we're going to see in levels 1 to 3 of our world that now social and emotional learning is actually contained throughout a unit, but it's very, very explicit in the last page, which is a values page, which really provides learners with a very clear statement of what the value is that they should be thinking about, and they should be then sharing their ideas about, and then also being able to talk with not just their peers, but also perhaps with their families. In level 4 to 6 in our world, we no longer have what's called a values page, because now we have National Geographic explorers with each unit. And that values page becomes a mission page, because those explorers provide us with role models of the various ways in which our young learners, as they become more and more active citizens, are able to actually apply what they know and actually have a mission that can help to change the world, not just themselves. So we're going to take a look at all of these, but let's now take a look at what this looks like. As you could imagine, in Welcome to Our World, since this is for children ages 3 to 5, We don't have things like social emotional learning on their pages, but we do have in the lesson planner under school readiness, ideas for you as a teacher of how you can appeal to their social emotional learning and help them develop those skills, how you can help them develop academic skills and motor skills. We talked about the physical skills as well as their self-care. So here's what level 1 of Welcome to Our World looks like. And notice that under social emotional learning, there are just a lot of very important, what will later be called values of being able to share and take turns, be welcoming, be good to family members. So take a look at the bottom left corner. We have a wonderful photo of a very happy family. And I could imagine, and this actually the lesson planner suggests, how about letting the learners act out the various roles of a grandma and a grandpa and a mother and a father and a brother and a sister? They could actually dress up and play those roles, which is be a really good way for them to actually indicate how important family members are to them. In the upper right-hand corner, we have a number of pictures of typical pets: a dog, a bunny, a turtle, a parrot, a fish. And here it's really important, and we're going to have this as a theme throughout Welcome to Our World and Our World, the importance of taking care of animals, not just animals that are pets. Later on, it's also wild animals. In the lower right-hand corner, this is a project page, which is also right at the end of every unit. And in this particular unit, which was focused on food, our young learners are being very creative, and they're actually creating what's called a bear snack. And you can see that it consists of bread and peanut butter and bananas. And after they have a chance to make this and be very proud of what they have made, they have a chance to also eat it as well. Now, that would be a way of trying new things. We need to be careful. Not everybody, not all these children are going to want to try that. But you know, with peanut butter and bananas, I think there's going to be a lot of children who take that. And let's take a look at the upper left-hand corner. I want to look at that in a little more detail. In each of the levels of Welcome to Our World, we have some very basic politeness language, which helps our learners to be socially appropriate. And so we have Freddie the frog, who says, "My name is Freddie." And Eddie the elephant says, "Well, my name is Eddie." Freddie says, "Nice to meet you." And Eddie says, "Nice to meet you too." Notice the very simple, it's in unit 1 or level 1 of Welcome to Our World. Why? Because probably the most important thing for all of us, especially young learners, is to be able to tell people our names and to have people respond. And so there's always at each level this kind of politeness language. At the end of level 1, you can see what it is that our learners can do. It's basically, it's self-awareness, a little bit of social awareness. They can talk about their body and their clothes and their home, but notice they can also talk about their family, their pets, and even about nature. So they're beginning to move outside of just the small world they live in to actually becoming much more socially aware. This is level 2 of Welcome to Our World. And you notice in the upper left-hand corner, this is the opening photo of a unit on play. And we have a young boy swinging on a tire, which we know at this age they're going to like to do. They like to jump, they like to run. But we also know that they need sometimes to be told how to do that safely. And so that's a really important skill that we can help them to develop, a recognition that they have to be careful. In the lower left-hand corner, this is from that same unit where they made that bear snack. They have a chance to talk about whether or not they like or don't like particular foods. And we see that it's yogurt and rice and chocolate and milk. And they have a chance to practice. Do you like yogurt? Well, yes, I do, or no, I don't. And they begin to recognize that not everybody has the same opinion that they have. Not everybody likes rice. I think probably a lot of people like chocolate, however, but the idea is with those emojis, with the smiling face and with the sad face that they don't like something, they have a chance to express and also express their opinion, but also recognize that not everybody has the same opinion. Let's look in more detail at the others. This is the same sort of politeness language. And here we have Freddie asking Eddie if he could help me. Can you help me? And Eddie says, yes, I can. And Freddie is not big enough to be able to get that book from the top shelf. And if you have been using Welcome to Our World at Our World, you very well may know that story. It's about a book that's called A Big Lesson for Little Frog. And it's really about Freddie. But notice that Freddie says, thank you. And Eddie says, you're welcome, Freddie. Again, very simple politeness language that we want to make sure our learners learn. And at this level also, our learners are beginning to be able to express their feelings and to become sensitive to other children's feelings. So it's not just self-awareness, it's also social awareness and some self-management. Notice that in this unit, we have that wonderful opening photo of these happy children from Russia. And I don't think I've ever seen happier children than that. But notice the vocabulary page, the diversity of the children. We have children from all over the world, but they're all sharing feelings that, of course, our children have as well, the children who we're teaching. So we have a chance then to see children who are happy and crying and sad and mad, of course, exactly the kinds of feelings that our learners have. And that leads right into the wonderful song for this unit is if you're happy and you know it, and I won't sing because I don't have the voice, but let me just tell you, it's a fabulous song. If you're happy and you know it, what do? You clap your hands. If you're mad and you do it, then you know it, what do? You stomp your feet. I mean, we know our children love to do this, right? To stomp and to jump. If you're sad and you know it, cry out loud, boo-hoo, just like we're going to see in a minute that Eddie cries. If you're tired and you know it, yawn out loud, yawn. So a wonderful song in which they get a chance to act out and also to talk about their feelings. And at the end of this unit, they actually have a chance to draw a face that is either a happy face or a mad face or a tired face. And you can see that we have the emojis they can draw. And at the very end, the project that they make, again, very creative, is they create a happy and or a sad puppet, which of course they can then use when they respond to things that the teacher or the other learners say to them. And this is level 3 of Welcome to Our World. And I'd like to start with Let's Share. Here we have, let me see if I can make that a little better. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I could get more of that in. Anyway, you can see it. We have Freddie, we have Eddie saying, I need the paint. And Mia says, I need the paint too. And notice what she does. She grabs it. And she says, oh, I'm sorry. And Eddie, who's very nice, says, that's okay. But you can see down below that he's about to cry. And so he says, well, let's share. And Mia says, okay. And then they have a chance to both use the paint. They draw and paint their own pictures. And then Eddie says, I like your picture. And Mia says, thanks. I like your picture too. Children of this age are usually not that interested in working together. They tend to work alone. But this is a really nice way of showing how even collaborating using the same paint will give them a chance to actually produce very nice paintings. And so I really like this because this is a way we can begin to get them into the notion of cooperating or collaborating or sharing. At this age as well, at level 3, they're beginning to become much more socially aware and to recognize and respond to diversity. And so we have this unit on singing and dancing, and it opens with this beautiful picture of these young dancers in Chile. And then the vocabulary, we have, again, children from all over the world who are singing and dancing and shouting and stomping. But what I really like about this vocabulary spread as well is we see in the right-hand corner a piano, a guitar, both pretty typical instruments. But in the upper left-hand corner, we see an African drum. And that's going to become very important because when we get to the song, that drum is playing. And here's the song. It's based on a song from Senegal in West Africa. And you can see all the singing and dancing that is going on. We can see the two men that are playing the drum. Everybody is clapping, dancing, and even the dog is participating. And so this song is just wonderful. It's sing a song and beat on a drum, dance around and stomp on the ground. Again, notice the stomping, the clapping, the beating, all of those physical activities that these learners really enjoy. Then after that, they sing the refrain. And what I really like is they sing as loud as you can, but they sing along with a friend. And notice we're now beginning to talk about social relationships, the importance of having a friend. And so they sing together and they sing as loud as they can and they beat on a drum. Really nice way of following up on this diversity, but also on being able to act out some of the things that you feel. So a great song. Now that was children ages 2 to 5. Now we're going to look at children ages about 6 to 9, grades 1 to 3, lower primary grades. And this is the level 1 to 3 of our world. So let's see what physically, we now know they're becoming really adept at running and climbing and jumping. They like to play physical games like tag, catch. They're already beginning to improve their handwriting skills, and they like art and music, which is going to be very important. Cognitively, they have an increased attention span, but I would focus on they get fidgety and lose interest. They do begin to develop logical thought to solve problems. They are able to understand things primarily through hands-on experiences. And social emotional, this is very important. They're developing a sense of identity, and they are much more social and open to diversity. So they're beginning what we just saw at level 3, and Welcome to Our World is now going to become even more important as they begin to realize there is a great deal of diversity, and it's a good thing. And they start to play more games and sports rather than fantasy. So here is, again, this is our world, levels 1 to 3, which end with a value page. And notice this one, which is help make other people happy. Every time I see this picture, I smile. We have this wonderful girl that's helping, I imagine it's her grandmother, helping her down the stairs. And every one of the values page is involved with our learners using a think, pair, share. So they first think about how other people feel, and they think about how they can make their family and friends happy. And then they have a chance to talk with a partner. And then they have a chance to hear from a lot of others and to begin to broaden their sense of how they can actually care for others and help other people be happy. In that same unit, it's not just that we're helping people. Notice that we're also helping pets, and we're helping even to protect an elephant. So how do we help other people? Well, we hug them, we teach them, but how do we take care of our animals, our pets? Well, we feed them. What do? We give them a bath. And how do we help children? We pick them up. And I like the fact that we actually are beginning now to broaden our children's world to include wild animals. And that'll become increasingly important as we talk about biodiversity and, of course, the threatened climate change. In this particular unit, there's a wonderful reading, and we won't have time, but you can read it when you have the whole the webinar. This is an orphaned baby elephant. For some reason, her mother has died, and I imagine it was somebody who killed that elephant. But there is a wonderful wildlife sanctuary in Kenya, and these baby elephants are treated just exactly the way that their mother would treat them. There's a caretaker who feeds them, sleeps with them, takes them down to the river and bathes them, and is with them until they grow up enough so that they can actually leave. Some stay for the rest of their lives, but most of them eventually get to go out into the wild. So here we actually have a wonderful example of how one can care for a wild animal. And then the value statements are very clear. To be good to animals, and in that first value, we have an orphan gorilla and a keeper in the Congo. And look at that relationship of those two. Being good to animals, this is level 1, give your pet food and water, but also what other things can you do? And that's part of the Think, Pair, Share. And in the other one, which is at level 2, it's respect animals, be kind and gentle. And here we have a baby panda in China at the research center. And notice, we don't just respect people and elders, we also need to respect animals. This is a wonderful reading that's after the first 3 units in level 3. And it's a wonderful way that we're helping our learners to develop empathy. It's a story about the Paralympics. And you're not going to have time to read it now, but I want you to just look at the 3rd paragraph. It's about Daniel Diaz, and he was born with no hands and only 1 foot. And you can see that in the photo. His school children called him names. You can imagine how terrible it was for him. He stayed home a lot and he didn't do much. But when he was 16, Daniel watched the Paralympics on TV and saw disabled people like him swimming. He exercised and learned to swim. Soon he was fit and strong. He was also very fast. And he won gold medals in the first Paralympic Games in Beijing. What a wonderful story. And notice that after reading this, our learners have a chance to choose an activity to express themselves and to be able to express the empathy and understanding. They can learn about another Paralympian from their own country and tell the class about him or her. They can pretend they're a journalist and they're actually interviewed Daniel Diaz, and they can make a poster about the Paralympics. So being there. Not only is it important for our young learners to appreciate diversity in peoples from around the world and other places, but they also want to be very careful about and proud of their own culture and sharing with others. In this, the left-hand side, you see a writing assignment, but they've had a chance to read about a very special place in the world in Poland by Jan. And they then write about a special place in their world, and they share it with the group. And then finally, they talk with others about exploring their own town. What are some of the things that they can find in their town? And actually, what are some of the things that they can share with tourists? Remember, they're learning English. And one of the wonderful things is they will be able to actually share some of what they're learning with others. Now, this is upper primary, grades 4 to 6. And we still have very active young learners, but they're much more advanced motor skills such as bicycling or gymnastics. They like organized sports. Cognitively have a little longer attention span. They think logically, beginning to, and like to work on real tasks with goals like gardening and taking care of animals or science experiments. They're beginning to develop problem-solving skills, which are so critically important in this 21st century. And they understand that problems can have multiple solutions. And we'll see that in just a minute. Social emotional skills, they're developing a sense of self in relation to the world. They're more social, and now peers are even more important than their family. And their social interactions and relationships become more complex. So let's see what that looks like. Well, at this level, we notice that the value page becomes a mission page. And now one of the most important statements throughout the missions is to find a role model, to think about a person who inspires you. Why is he or she special? Do you want to be like this person, and why? And then when you learn from others what their role models are, which are the ones that are the most interesting? And we're going to see several of these role models. Here is one. This is a filmmaker, anthropologist, a National Geographic explorer who lives in Hawaii. And notice that she wants our young learners to value their cultural traditions. She says, I'm committed to protecting the cultures of the world in hopes that the wisdom of their elders is remembered. And the Think, Pair, Share is to think about what are some of the local cultures and traditions that are in danger. We need to value them, but what can we do to keep them, our culture and traditions, alive? How can we do that? And so she inspires us and inspires our young learners to think about the cultural traditions and the ones that might be in danger of actually no longer being there and what they can do to do something about it. And here's another mission page, protecting biodiversity. We've seen now the importance of wild animals. And in this case, the conservation biologist, Jodi Crandall, says we need to increase people's interest and support for wildlife and wild places, particularly children who are stewards of the future of nature. That is such an important concept for all of us to remember, that our children are the stewards of the future of basically of our world, and especially of nature. And so they have a chance now to talk about their community and biodiversity in it, and what are some of the local species, and what can they do to find out about them, and how can they help preserve them. I won't spend much time on this, but this is a very interesting, at level 5, a unit on reducing, reusing, and recycling. And what we have here is a beautiful blue whale coming out of the water in front of the I think it's the probably the City Hall in Bruges, Belgium. And notice that this whale is made out of only junk. A lot of it is electronic junk, but it's an absolutely gorgeous sculpture made out of junk. And in the activity book or the workbook, our learners have a chance now to think about all of this e-waste, all of this electronic waste that we have with the phones and computers and TVs and electronic parts, which become waste unless we figure out ways of recycling them. And so this is what the reading is about. And our learners have a chance to think about how they could help to recycle e-waste and solve some of these problems. So now we're at a level where they are able to become responsible citizens, to be making important decisions, to be thinking critically and actually thinking about problems and solutions. And the project, wonderful at the end of this unit, is actually to make art from things that you throw away. And earlier we said that very young learners tend to want to work by themselves. Well, at this age, they really like working together. And this was a collaborative project. They needed to make something of art out of things that they threw away. And here they made a robot, and you can see all the wonderful things that are there. And he says, we made a robot sculpture. Our sculpture is made with recycled cardboard and reused plastic utensils and ornaments. And you can make junk into art as well. So we have a wonderful example here. And I would love to look at all the things. There are forks and there are buttons and I think it's an ornament. There are all sorts of wonderful things that have been reused and recycled rather than thrown away. And so then the mission statement is to help reduce our human footprint. And what are the things that we can do to reduce, reuse, and recycle waste? And what are things that the community can do, and actually a chance for them to share with a partner or group? And we have that wonderful quote from the Cousteau's daughter, Alexandra Cousteau, who is also a National Geographic explorer, an environmental filmmaker, and a water advocate like her father. She says, people have created the problem, so it's critical to get the public excited and eager to participate in a solution. So with Welcome to Our World and Our World, we can help our young learners to become aware of different people and develop respect for other people's traditions and cultures, but to accept diversity, but also to look for commonalities, to celebrate their friends, their family, their community, their country, to be proud of their local traditions and culture, to care for animals, plants, nature, the oceans, the environment, and work to reduce waste, and to believe they can make a difference looking to their families, their communities, and National Geographic explorers as role models to convey their ideas using multiple media. And I'm not going to spend much time on it. I think most of you are very well aware of 21st century skills, but they're very highly developed in our world, and they're beginning to be developed in Welcome to Our World. So critical thinking and problem solving, being able to communicate and share thoughts and ideas, be able to work together to reach a goal, and notice to create something better than doing it alone. And I think that wonderful robot is an example. And then to try new ways to get things done. And these skills are essential for today's learners to be successful in school and later in their work. So why the 4 C's? Because students need these to fully participate in today's interconnected global world. And they need to be able to share their thoughts, questions, ideas, and solutions. And they need to be able to do this not only in their own languages, but also in English for global communication. And now I'm going to turn it over to Joan, who's going to focus on ways in which 21st century educators are using technology, multimodal ways of actually helping our learners to participate fully in this interconnected global world.
Thanks, Jodi. And I'm going to get my presentation up. Can you let me know if you can see my presentation now?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so thank you so much. My name is Joan Kang Shin, and I'm going to continue our presentation about being a 21st century educator. As we all know, teaching is different now. Since the pandemic started, 21st century educators are connecting with students in new ways through technology. And these are changes that are here to stay. But even though we are using new technologies, or perhaps using digital applications more than we used to, we need to take a step back and remember that it's not just about the technology. It's about the human touch. Remember that books, pens, and paper were at one point new technology, and new technology that we try to use in education. So, like any new technology, we have to focus on how our young learners interact with it and use it for communication in the real world. Our job is to help young learners make that connection with it. We have to add that human touch. And to begin with, the socio-emotional in our own teaching. So since this is the start of my part of the presentation and I want to say hello to you, let's sing the hello song, which comes from Welcome to Our World. And I wrote the words of this song to the tune of La Cucaracha, and it goes like this. Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, hello, how are you? I'm very good. Yeah, I'm very good. Yeah. Thank you very much, and you. Now, I'd like you to sing it with me. And I can't hear you, but I'm going to imagine you're singing it with me. All right, try it right now. Ready? Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? Hello, hello, how are you? I'm very good. Yeah, I'm very good. Yeah. Thank you very much, and you. Did you like my song? Okay, wonderful. I just want to see in the chat box. Excellent. And were you singing along with me? Great. Now, maybe your students aren't actually feeling good today. You might want to check in with them with something like an emotion wheel, like this, and you can put it with a spinner. And maybe when you check in with them, they're pointing to worried. Maybe your students feel worried. Then you can sing a new version of the song. So instead of singing, I'm very good, yeah, They might sing, I'm very worried. Oh, I'm very worried. Oh. So you can fill in the words with any of the emotions that they're feeling so they can express themselves. So as you can see, using songs can connect learners to new language. Using a routine song like this can help reinforce the language day to day. And using a song that taps into children's emotions can help you bring that human touch to your teaching. So take the time to find out how students feel. So whether you're teaching face-to-face or online, you have to take the time to see what's going on with them. And perhaps you might find it more challenging to read the room in an online learning environment. But it's not impossible if you look at your students and notice their facial expressions and behavior. Here is a screenshot from Irmak Yildiz from Turkey, who was immediately responsive to her students in class. By the way, this is an example from my new book co-authored with Jared Borup called Breaking Through the Screen. And in our book, Irmak explains, I realized that my students were sleepy on a cloudy Monday morning. So in order to get their blood flowing, first, I asked them to do 15 jumping jacks and a few stretching activities before starting our lesson. They were very happy and surprised, and they had a lot of fun because I was also moving with them. What a great example of responding to students' needs and moods to create an effective environment for language learning. This brings me to a suggestion for teaching. And as teachers, I know we are trying to make the most of that little time we have with our young learners. We have a lot to teach in one class. But our teaching will be more effective if children are ready to learn. Sometimes our young learners have been concentrating so hard on learning a new language. So give your young learners a break. Give them a chance to stretch. Give them a chance to breathe. It's not easy to learn and use a new language. So when you transition from one activity to the next, give your students a break. Here are some ideas. So first, let's do the shake shake. If your young learners were practicing writing or drawing something, they might be all tense in their hands. Before moving on to a new activity, give them a chance to shake their hands out. So do it with me. Shake your right hand, 1, 2, 3, and shake your left hand, 1, 2, 3. Shake your right hand, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So, by the way, it's great TPR where you're practicing more English in the classroom. And if students can stand up and shake or stretch, get them out of their seats. If not, it's okay that these can be done at their desks and you can just stretch up. Okay, and if you want to stretch with me, lean to the right, lean to the left. Doesn't that feel good? All right, we also need to stretch a little bit too as teachers. Another way to give a good break is a breathing break. So sometimes if you've been up and active, you want students to calm down. So you can close your eyes, have them close their eyes, and just take a deep breath in and release your breath. Come on, close your eyes, take a deep breath in and release your breath. Doesn't that feel amazing? All right, so breathing breaks can work real well. Or how about taking a break with a 1-minute dance party? You can play a song for a minute and let students dance to get their energy out. Here's that song that we heard about before from Senegal, and it's from Welcome to Our World, and it goes like this.
Sing a song and beat on a drum, dance around and stomp on the ground. Sing a song and beat on a drum, dance around beat on a drum.
All right, did you like the song? All right, so good to take a break and you can practice more English. Okay, so of course, if you've done a lot of movement, you can play a song that calms students down. By the way, it's also good to take time to get student feedback. So you're trying to see, are students ready for an activity before they communicate? You can check and see if they're not ready at all, okay, if they need more practice, or if they're ready. And this is a nonverbal way for them to show whether or not they're ready to use the language in the activity. All right. I also want us to remember that it's not just about the technology, it's about connecting children to the real world. Paulo Freire from Brazil was an advocate for education for all, especially empowering those without to become literate. And he taught us that reading the word is dependent on reading the world. And I find this particularly relevant to teaching English in the 21st century. English has become a global language, of course, and so learning this language means learning about the world. And we live in a multimodal world. So when we bring the world into the classroom, we have to remember this. Multimodal literally means multiple modes. As Kress noted, literacy includes constructing meaning with images, sounds, videos, color, or some combination of all of those. In the real world, we do not just communicate using words and text. James Paul G pointed out, multimodality is the rage today and the new thing. But it seems new only because we linguists have done such a poor job analyzing language. We treat language as words and grammar, but language has never been unimodal. In fact, we as humans are extremely visual. Even from prehistoric times, our ancestors were using images to depict our world and communicate to others well before the use of words and text. And here you can see a photo of the prehistoric paintings in Lascaux Cave in France from over 17,000 years ago. So the use of visuals, other modes to communicate with one another has been a natural part of what it means to be human. So think about it. We've always used more than just text to communicate with each other. Since our world is image and media driven now, our teaching should also be image and media driven. For example, in our English language class, we can explore the world through images. This mode for communication is so important in our multimodal world. For that, we need to build visual literacy. Let me give you a strategy for working on visual literacy with our young learners. Harvard Project Zero promotes a visible thinking routine that is simple for young learners. They describe it as a routine for exploring works of art and other interesting things. And the questions are, what do you see? And students can answer, I see, blah, blah, blah. And what do you think about that? And then students answer, I think, blah, blah, blah. And what does it make you wonder? And students answer, I wonder. So the routine is that students see a visual work of art, an object, and they think, I see, I think, I wonder. So take a look at this photo here. And I want you to write 3 sentences and tell me, what do you see, think, and wonder about this photo? Let me see your answers in the chat box. I see, I think, I wonder. Okay, thank you, Patrick. I see monkeys. I see a mother and her baby. I see a baby monkey shouting. I see a mother grooming her baby. Aha, Liliana, I think they're happy. What else do you think about it? I think that the mom and the child Or what? Monica, thank you. I wonder why the little monkey looks scared. Okay, so I absolutely love this strategy because it helps students to also have their own inner dialogue about what they're seeing to build their visual literacy skills. So after looking at the images, you can look at the full spread, and now we can see the full page and talk to students about the topic of this page, an important value, taking care of others. So as this example shows, making the time to interpret an image, whether it be a work of art, a photo of people from another country or animals living in another part of the world, this helps children connect to feelings, emotions, and values. And this is a part of learning about ourselves and our world. We can also use multimodal projects to encourage students to build skills for the 21st century. Here's a cool project where students design a Superpower App, and they choose their own superpower, something that makes life better. Then they design an app to help them achieve it. Even without technology in the classroom, learners sketch out their ideas in 3 to 4 pictures and then share their ideas in a small group. And then their friends can give them ideas for improving it. What a wonderful way to promote the 4 C's. So it's a low-tech way to promote high-tech thinking. As teachers, we can also promote multimodal projects by having students create something that uses both image and text. This is a typical kind of activity we do with young learners. And in this activity, they choose an animal, do research on it, then make a card using pictures and describe their animal using the unit vocabulary and grammar. And then here you can see the project rubric where you're checking, did students do the research? Did they use pictures? Did they describe their animals? Did they write in sentences? Now you can add technology to it. So how about if we integrate technology and multiple modes by using an app called Chatterpix, where you can put an image, draw a line over the mouth, and then when you record your voice, it makes the mouth move. Take a look at this example.
I am a penguin. I have black and white feathers. I live in the ice and snow. I can swim, but I can't fly.
All right, so we can enhance this activity by integrating technology and transforming it into a multimodal project that's also fun for kids. Of course, we have to make sure that students have met the objectives. So of course, if we look at this again, we can say, did the students do research about an animal? Yes. Did the students use pictures? Yes. Did the students describe their animals? Yes. And did they write sentences? Yes, they did, because the student was reading from a script, and you can have them hand in the script as well as the video. Okay, so another great activity that you can see here is simple to use image and text, but also learn more about your students. So in this activity, students prepare for a game called Guess the Student, and they prepare images and sentences about themselves, and then teachers present it to students and the class guesses who the student is. Let's look at an example. I like Legos and Minecraft. I have 2 dogs. I have 1 sister. Who is this student? Well, in your class, students might be able to guess based on what they know about each other. And it's Finn, Lego and Minecraft master. By the way, he's my stepson. All right, so also I did want to mention that you can get to know your students more, build a sense of community, and notice the final reveal is in the form of a meme. And young learners love to read and create memes, and this is another form of multimodal communication. Young learners can also create videos and present something about their world in English. Here's an example from Erica Cano in Mexico. She had her students make a video describing their toys using English. Let's take a look.
Little kitchen. This is the fridge. This is the microwave. Beep, beep, beep.
Isn't that wonderful? I just want to give you one more example. And remember this project that Jodi introduced you to earlier about using recycled materials to create a robot. Well, Monica Bondi from Romania engaged her class by having her students use those recycled materials to create robots and then made those robots talk using Chatterpix. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Opticus 5. Despite of my size, I am known for being pretty strong and useful. I am a robot that is often sent with people on dangerous missions. In case of a direct attack, I can easily block it without suffering any injuries. I was created that way, being made out of titanium. I can move really fast, most of the times winning in battles and getting out of trouble real quickly.
All right, so I hope you really liked my examples. And now we're at the end of the presentation. And to conclude, let's go back to the title of the presentation. Are you a 21st century educator? I hope so. But what does this mean for English educators? As 21st century English language educators, it is important to help our young learners express their own culture and their identities in English. They should value their own culture and learn to express who they are individually and culturally in English. And as 21st century English language educators, we should encourage our young learners to explore other people, places, and cultures. As National Geographic explorer Joseph Lakuden said, to bridge cultures, you must mix people together. Education and travel are the best teachers. Well, travel is, of course, not always possible, especially now. And even if your young learners cannot travel through education, we can bring the world to the classroom through our materials that represent people, places, and cultures from around the world. As 21st century educators, it is our hope that our young learners care about others, other people, and other places. We have to care about each other and protect our precious planet. Remember, though, we cannot care about anything unless we first know about it. So it is our job as 21st century educators to introduce children to all the diverse wonders of our world. Then, when they care about our world, they will be inspired to contribute to our world. That is the ultimate goal. And here we can see and show students how to use their imagination and creativity to solve problems. This here is the Sheep View project, which equips sheep with solar-powered 360-degree cameras in order to put the Faroe Islands on the Google Street View map online. How cool is that? And don't forget, ours is a multimodal world. We also have to prepare students to communicate in a world that uses much more than text. And we have to prepare them to communicate through images, videos, sounds, color, and the combination of all of them. Lastly, remember, we live in an amazing, wondrous world, but our world also comes with many challenges. English can be a language for bringing people together for global problem solving and diplomacy. Let's teach English while inspiring our young learners to care about others, protect our planet, and contribute their gifts and talents to our world. They are our future caretakers of the world, and education needs to provide the knowledge and skills they need for this awesome responsibility. It isn't just about English or just about technology. It's about the human touch and connecting education to the real world. Thank you all for sticking in there and for all of your attention.
Thank you so much, Joan and Jodi, for such an amazing, inspiring, and uplifting session. That was wonderful. And I feel like through the chat box, we can see that everyone agrees with it. So before we sign off, I know we're a little over the hour, but I just wanted to cover a few things. So immediately after the session, you will be directed to a feedback survey. So please let us know what your thoughts about the webinar, suggestions, questions and stuff like that. As mentioned before, unfortunately, we're over time, so we don't have time to answer some of the questions that came up, but we will answer them through email. And also through your email, you will be receiving a certificate of attendance and also the recording of this session within 5 business days from today. Joan, if you want to move over a little bit. Yeah, so if you want to learn a little bit more about our very young learners 3-level series, Welcome to Our World 2nd edition, please access the link that you see right there on the screen. And through that page, you can try a unit sampler, you can have an interactive lesson, you can see you can learn about the series and check other resources. Same thing goes to our best-selling titles, Our World and Explore Our World. So if you want to learn more about that, please do access those 2 links over there and try it out. Another last thing that I want to mention, that Joan brought some examples of a professional development title that she will be launching with National Geographic Learning with another author, Jared Borup. It's coming up in February 2022. So it's breaking through the screen, practical tips for engaging learners in the online and blended classroom. So please stay tuned to that and be sure to join our online community for teachers of English on our social media channels. And you will know up-to-date information about events, upcoming global webinars, practical classroom tips, exciting real-world content, and new product information. Again, I thank each one of you who have joined us today. I know you've been, in different parts of the world, in different time zones, but thank you for choosing to share this 1 hour with us. I hope you really enjoyed it, and we're happy to have you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.